Hey everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery, and we are doing a new lesson in math today, but it's very similar to what we learned yesterday, which was adding three numbers together. Some of us had a little trouble, some didn't, but that's okay if you had a little trouble with it. It's not always the easiest, but we're going to get through it, and we're going to practice a little bit of that today. Except today, we're going to use word problems to add three numbers together. So we're just adding, there's going to be no subtracting, nothing super tricky, okay? So don't worry about that. Let's do a really quick warm-up. How would we add 2 plus, let's do 6 plus, let's do 6 again. Now you don't have to write any of this down, okay? So don't worry about it. We're just doing a really quick review of what we did yesterday to help refresh our memories and as a little bit of practice. Okay, so first we're just going to take these first two numbers, and I'm just going to make a little arrow because this is where they're going to make their new bigger number. All right, so what is 2 plus 6? Well, I could use touch math and count on from 6, right? So 6, 7, and 8. So 2 plus 6 is 8. Then I take this number and it has to go with its plus sign next to the 8 because we didn't add it. So now when we add these numbers together, whatever numbers we use first, they're gone because they now made 8. Okay? So they're not there anymore. It's just the 8 and the 6. So now let's add 8 plus 6. So we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 2 plus 6 plus 6 is 14. And that's it. We just take the first two numbers together, add them, and then we bring that third number over next to it with its plus sign. And we add it to that new number that we made. That's all we're doing. So today, let's make up a little bit of a story, and let's figure out how we do this with a story. Okay, so I made up a little bit of a story. It might be a little hard to see, but it's okay. I just want to make sure we had some words written down for you to see for these examples. And and you can go ahead and write these numbers in these book bags. And I'm going to label them. Okay, so we have Jake, Todd, and Ruby. Okay, so these are three friends that are in this story. So let's read the story, and we're going to keep an eye out for anything that sounds super important. Okay, Jake has 3 books. Well, that sounds important that he has 3 books. Todd has 4 books. Well, that also sounds important. See, so far this is very similar to every other story problem we've ever had. Let's keep reading. Ruby has 3 books. Oh, wow. That's also important. How many books do they have all together? And the words all together are super important because they make sure to tell us that we're adding. And let's write down our numbers that we found in our story problem. So the first number is 3. Oh, let me write a better 3 than that. Okay, and our second number is, well, it's 4. So let's write down that 4. And then our last number that we found in our story problem was 3. So we have 3, 4, and 4, right? And up here in these book bags, I wrote the same numbers. We have Jake with 3 books. We have Todd with 4 books, and Ruby with 3 books again. Okay? So now let's break this down and solve it. So the first thing we have to do is take the first 2 numbers and add them together so we can make a new number, right? So 3 plus 4 is, well, it's 7. And then we bring down that 3 with its plus sign. And now, since we made 7 out of 3 and 4, these 2 numbers aren't there anymore because we have 7. So 7 plus 3 is, well, I hope you all know this one. This one we've dealt with a lot, and it is 10. Okay? And we can even write that up here also to show that 3 plus 4 plus 3 is 10 because we added all these numbers together. We're just showing all the work over here, and we have to make sure to write the answer on that line. So that wasn't too bad. But what if we had different numbers? Well, let's try that out. Okay, now I made a couple changes to our story problem. We kept the same people, but something changed. Let's see if you spot it. Let's read it. Jake has 5 books. Todd has 6 books. Ruby has 7 books. How many books do they have altogether? So we have the same people, but what changed? The numbers. The numbers changed. They have different amount of books now. Well, I kept these numbers circled because I feel like you guys already have a really good grasp of circling the important things in story problems. You guys always tell me to stop when we do this together in class. When you hear a number, you know that's important and you should circle it. And there's special words like all together that tell us if we should add or subtract. So now let's take these numbers and put them into our addition sentence. So our first number is 5. So we can go ahead and write the number 5 on our first line. And our second one is 6. Todd now has 6 books. And then our third person, Ruby, has 7 books. But we're going to solve this the same way we did yesterday and the same way we just solved this problem over here for number 1. So let's do exactly what we did. We are going to combine these first 2 numbers. I'm drawing these lines to show where this number is going to be and show that you're putting these numbers together. So 5 plus 6. What is 5 plus 6? Well, let's do a little touch math to figure it out. So I'm going to count on from 6 because I think it's always easier to count on from bigger numbers. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So it's 11. We could also think of this as a double plus 1 fact, right? So if we know our doubles facts, 5 plus 5 is 10, but 6 is 1 more than 10, so it must be 11. Okay. So now we have 5 and 6 made 11. Now we have to take the 7 and the plus sign and add that to our new number that we made. So 11 plus 7 equals what? Well, if you remember my little trick, and if we write this a little different and have 11 plus 7, let's look at the ones column. We have 7 and 1, and 7 and 1 is 8. And there's nothing below this 1 in the tens column, so we just bring it right on down, and it keeps this 8 nice and cozy, keeps it company, and it gives us the number 18. So 18 is our answer. And we have to make sure we write it on this answer line over here, 18. So 5 plus 6 plus 7 is 18. Okay? And you can actually add these numbers any way you like, and I'll even show you. So if we were to, instead of 5 and 6, maybe we really wanted to add 6 and 7 together. And we said, oh man, well 6 and 7, I know that's 13. And then we got to bring this 5 over, right? So it's 13 plus 5. And then we use our little trick. We add our ones together first, the 3 and the 5, because they're both in the ones house. And that's 8. And then this 1 has to come along with it to keep it company. And we still have 18. Either way, we make 18. You can add the first two numbers together first, or you can add the second two numbers together first. Either way is fine. Whatever is easier for you to keep track of the numbers you're adding. Okay? So now let's open up our work mats and look at number 1 on the inside. All right, I'll give everyone an extra couple seconds to open up to the inside page. All right, everything, you guys should be on the inside page now, looking at number 1, just like I have on the screen here. And let's read this first problem. And as we read it, make sure you circle what is important. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. Tess collects shells. So Tess is a person. I know it might be a little different from a name we've heard before, but Tess is a name. So Tess collects shells. She has 7 pink shells. Well, that sounds important. So circle 7. 3 black shells. That sounds important too. And 4 white shells. That's also sounding pretty important. How many shells does Tess have in all? And the words in all, we know, are very important because they help tell us that we are going to add. So now we can, since we have all of our important information, we have 7, 3, 4, and the words in all. That tells us we're going to add, and we're going to add these 3 numbers together. So now we can go ahead and trace 7, because now we know why it's here. We can trace the number 3. And we can trace the number 4. But now let's do this one step at a time so we know how to get the answer the right way. Okay, so first let's combine 7 and 3. I like those two numbers. So 7 plus 3 is 10. And then we have to bring this 4 on over because we didn't add him yet. So we got rid of the 7 and the 3 because we made 10. So 10 plus 4. Well, this should be a very nice, easy addition problem for you. What is 10 plus 4? It is 14. So now we know why they have this dotted 14 here, and we can go ahead and trace that in also. All right. Oh, and we have to make sure that we tell them 14 what? We have to make sure that we tell them that's 14 shells. 14 shells. Okay? So now let's go on to number 2. This one right here. I'm going to read it to you, but as I read it, just you are going to circle the important things that you hear, and then try solving the problem by yourself. Okay? You guys did a really good job yesterday. Just do the same thing. All right? And then after you give it a try, we'll go through it together to make sure we did the work right, and you can see where the mistake was if you did make one. Okay? If not, then that's great. Okay, so let's read this. Tom sees some birds. He sees 4 red birds, 9 blue birds, and 6 blackbirds. How many birds does Tom see in all? Okay, so circle the important things that you heard and try to solve this problem all on your own. All right, I think that should have been enough time. So let's go through this. I'm going to reread it and circle the important things that I hear. So Tom sees some birds. Nothing important yet. He sees 4 redbirds. Well, that sounds important. 9 bluebirds. That sounds important too. And 6 blackbirds. Well, that also sounds important. How many birds does Tom see in all? And of course, we know the words in all are super duper duper important because they tell us that we're going to be using these fun plus signs. So we have all of our information. Now we can put it into this addition sentence. So we have 4, 9, and 6. All right. So I like to add the first 2 together first, which is 4 and 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. Then we have to bring the plus sign with the 6 on over because we have to add him in. So 13 plus 6 equals, well, what's 3 plus 6? Well, we know 3 plus 6 is 9, and the 1 has to come keep him company. So it's 19. So what is 4 plus 9 plus 6? It is 19. But it's 19 what? 19 what? Well, we have to make sure we tell the person reading this that we have 19 birds altogether. 19 birds, right? Okay, so I hope that you got that correct. If not, and you're a little confused, come sit with me on the carpet. If not, and you feel very comfortable with this and confident, then go ahead on to the next page and solve those problems on your own. Okay, go on to the next page, solve those, and then after that, try the little bit more challenging ones on the very back. Okay, and then after that, there will be an extra fun math worksheet, probably some coloring with some addition, subtraction, some fun stuff to help you with your math facts. Okay, so I will talk to you all soon.